Have you ever thought I'll be happy when I get promoted or get a raise, switch teams, or maybe finish that high value project? I know I have, especially when I was working as an email marketer in tech for over a decade. But here's the thing that I know now that would have saved me 10 years of false hopes, hustling, and eventually a rock bottom burnout. Fulfillment is an inside job. It's not something that happens to you, it's something that you create for yourself. About halfway through my tech career, I started a passion project, which eventually became a soulful side hustle and is now my full time business. Here's what I learned along the way. Let's get into it. The unfortunate reality of today is that no matter how you work, no matter how impactful you are as a leader, no matter how flexible and agile and cooperative and supportive you are as a team member, and no matter how skilled you are as an individual contributor, you're still expendable to your employer. Just look at all of the tech layoffs. And if you've put everything into your career, you can be left wondering who you are when something changes, whether it's a layoff, a reorg, or a slow decline in your enthusiasm for the work that you do. I was speaking with a Googler who was recently laid off, and she was working there for 15 years. 15 years. She'd met her husband there, all of her best friends. She would work out on campus at her favorite workout class. She even met with her therapist through a work program. And so when she unexpectedly got laid off this year, she found herself in an identity crisis. She didn't know who she really was anymore outside of being a Googler. And I don't want that to happen to you. Whether or not you stay in tech long term, you get laid off, or you change careers. That's why it's key for you to consider that you are the one, not your job, that's responsible for creating that sense of life satisfaction, that sense of fulfillment. And it's really in your own hands to do that. Instead of thinking of that as maybe a bad thing, I want to invite you to feel like this is a gift. Wow, you actually get to be the one to create your sense of fulfillment. You don't need to rely on some outside thing to give you that. Now, contrary to what it may feel like, when you block off your calendar to pursue activities outside of work that bring you joy, you won't sacrifice your job performance or even your personal brand as an employee. In fact, as author Greg McGowan highlights in his book Essentialism, which I highly recommend you read, research shows that actually saying no and setting boundaries at work increases the respect from your manager, your teammates, because it actually makes you more effective at work. Because when you're saying no to the things that don't really matter, the bonus projects, the hey, I don't have bandwidth for this thing, can you take this on kind of projects, you actually have that mental clarity, time, and space to focus on the most important things. And I personally experienced this when I was working in tech. I used to think that the harder I worked, the more hours that I logged, the more active I was on Slack, the more recognition I would get. And that was until I burned out. It was only when I started carving out time outside of work to go to yoga at lunch and work on my passion project that eventually turned into a side hustle after work that I realized and started to reclaim my life force energy, my sense of satisfaction, my sense of self back. And while at first blocking off an hour in the middle of the workday felt a little edgy, my manager actually soon joined me in the yoga classes that I was taking at lunch. And it became this team activity. And it's because she saw how refreshed and more focused and productive I was after I took that midday break. And there's a lot of research about how this is really helpful for cultivating a flow state when you actually take a 15 to an hour long break after a focus period. Think about it this way. If you have something that you know is essential to your well being, to your sense of fulfillment, your life satisfaction, you're going to actually want to focus more during the workday. You're going to want to be efficient with your projects so that you actually have that time, energy, and space to do the thing that you want to do outside of work. Whether that's maybe writing a novel, coaching your kids' soccer team, or some form of self care. So, when you do actually get the most important work done, rather than spiraling in your inbox or working on just the easy tasks first, I know I have done that, you actually then also make a bigger impact at your job. Your performance improves in a way that your team will take notice. And this happened to me too. I ended up actually being leveled up and getting all of these compliments from my manager after I started my passion project, which was teaching yoga at the time, and then eventually evolved into coaching. Now, don't get me wrong. I know it's super tempting to just do the mindless tasks, to do the easy quote unquote things first in your workday. And I also recognize that it can be very confusing about how to prioritize, especially if you don't have clear direction from your team, from the executive team, from your manager of what is the most important thing. And then imagine taking that to your personal life, right? We have so many tasks in our lives. And unfortunately, that age old Eisenhower matrix, maybe you've heard of it, for prioritizing effectively doesn't really work when we're stressed out. The whole urgent and important framework, actually, when we're stressed, everything feels urgent and important. And so I have a free resource for you called the Intuitive To-Do List. It walks you through 5 steps, 5 signature steps to take you from overwhelm to clarity with knowing exactly what to prioritize, when, and how to use your energy effectively so that you can actually have that time and space to work on something like a passion project. If you want that, go ahead and just comment to-do list below and I'll send it to you, or you can check the link in the description and snag it for free. Now, as I mentioned earlier, fulfillment is an inside job. And when you set the intention to create that sense of fulfillment, that life satisfaction for yourself, every part of your life benefits: your job, your relationships, all of the things, your personal well being. But it doesn't have to be this Herculean effort or this all encompassing thing. You don't have to quit your job or piss off your loved ones or sacrifice your well being to get there. After all, I'm going to guess that you do not need more responsibilities or to dos on your plate right now. One concept that you may have come across that really drives my process home of how you can actually start something like a passion project to lift up all the areas of your life is something that Jim Collins coined called the flywheel. You maybe actually have heard of this in an all hands meeting because I feel like all tech companies are obsessed with this growth strategy. Now, in case you're not familiar, a flywheel is essentially how growth occurs naturally for the most successful businesses. And I believe that this also applies to life in general, our personal growth as well. So imagine, you can even close your eyes. Imagine a giant wheel, this heavy thing that you want to push forwards for some reason. At first, it might feel like a lot of effort to get it moving, right? Because it's heavy, you're pushing, but over time, it starts to build momentum. And the same amount of effort that you're applying in the beginning can be applied throughout without adding more of your strength, your stamina, right? Efficiency. This is how wheels work. No surprise. But if you were asked, hey, what push that you did actually made that wheel start spinning faster, you probably wouldn't be able to say. You're like, I don't know. I just kept pushing. And then suddenly it took off, right? So Collins writes in his book called Good to Great, we kept thinking that we'd find the one big thing, the miracle moment that defined breakthrough. And he's talking about interviewing companies. But the good to great executives simply could not pinpoint a single key event or moment in time that exemplified their growth, that transition. From the outside, It looked like dramatic, almost revolutionary breakthroughs that they were having. But from the inside, they completely felt different. They felt it was more like this organic development process. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Unlike the overnight successes, stories that are ad nauseum all over the internet, fulfillment, just like success, is accumulation of small efforts. I'm going to repeat that. Fulfillment, like success, is accumulation of small efforts or shifts. So when you set the intention of creating your own sense of fulfillment in your life, you start that flywheel. The intention starts the flywheel. And then when you experiment to see what activities actually give you that sense of fulfillment, what works with your schedule, your energy, you start to build that momentum that eventually sets you free. So here's your homework. Yes, you have homework. Go ahead and write this down. You, not your job, is responsible for your fulfillment. Or another way to say this is you, not your job, get to create your sense of fulfillment. And then start to get curious. Start to get curious about what kind of project might help you actually do that, might help you actually feel more fulfilled. And to help you get started brainstorming, I created my next video where I share 7 projects that you can start right now to feel more fulfilled and satisfied. Click to watch it, and I'll see you there.